I'm Daniel, 38, a software engineer in Seattle, married to Claire for 12 years. Our life seemed perfect. 2 kids, a craftsman home, and a rhythm of shared routines. Claire, a graphic designer, radiated warmth, her laugh a melody that anchored me. But lately, her eyes drifted. Her phone glowed late into the night, and her excuses for late work hours grew flimsier. I trusted her, though. Doubt felt like betraying the woman who'd been my rock. It started subtly. Claire's new client, Ethan, a charismatic photographer, entered our lives like a breeze, charming, with a disarming smile. She spoke of him often, his visionary projects, his unique perspective. I met him at a gallery event Claire designed for. Ethan's handshake was firm, his gaze lingering on Claire as she floated through the crowd, her auburn hair catching the light. I brushed off the unease. She was professional, I told myself. But that night, she came home at 2 a.m., claiming a last-minute edit. Her perfume was different, sharper, unfamiliar. I began noticing patterns. Her phone was always face down, notifications silenced. She'd laugh at messages I couldn't see, her fingers dancing over the screen. When I asked, she'd wave it off, just work stuff. But her work never demanded such secrecy before. One evening, I found her sketching Ethan's portrait, his eyes rendered with a tenderness I hadn't seen in years. "It's for his portfolio," she said, too quickly. My stomach twisted, but I swallowed the suspicion. Love, I thought, was trust. Then came the trip. Claire announced a weekend work retreat with Ethan's team in Portland. She packed light, her smile strained. I offered to drive her to the airport, but she insisted on an Uber. "Don't worry, Dan," she said, kissing my cheek. The kids were with my parents, so I spent the weekend alone, the house too quiet. I tried calling her Saturday night. No answer. A text came hours later. "Busy with shoots, talk tomorrow." The words felt hollow. Sunday, I cleaned the garage to distract myself. Tucked in a box of Claire's old art supplies, I found a Polaroid. Her and Ethan, laughing, his arm around her waist, a beach in the background. The date stamp was last month, a day she'd claimed to be at a client meeting. My chest tightened. I stared at the photo, her joy ablaze in my gut. This wasn't work. This was something else, something I couldn't yet name. The Polaroid burned in my hand. I sat in the garage, the cold concrete grounding me as my mind raced. Claire and Ethan, their closeness undeniable. I wanted to believe it was innocent, a candid moment, a professional bond. But the date, the secrecy, her late nights, they wove a narrative I couldn't ignore. I slipped the photo into my pocket, vowing to confront her when she returned. But doubt gnawed at me. What if I was wrong? Accusing her could shatter us. When Claire came home, she was all smiles, hugging me tightly. "Missed you," she said, her voice bright. But her eyes flicked away when I asked about the retreat. "Just work," she said, unpacking her bag. I watched her, searching for a tell, a hesitation, a blush. Nothing. She was too good or I was too blind. That night, she fell asleep quickly, her phone on the nightstand. I fought the urge to check it. Invading her privacy felt like crossing a line, but the Polaroid screamed for answers. The next day, I worked from home, my focus shot. Claire was at her studio, and I couldn't shake the image of her with Ethan. I opened my laptop and did something I never thought I'd do. I searched Ethan's social media. His Instagram was public, a gallery of moody landscapes and portraits. Then I saw it. A post from the retreat, Claire in the background, laughing with him, her hand on his shoulder. The caption read, "Inspired by muses." My blood ran cold. Comments gushed about their chemistry. I felt like a fool. I needed proof, not assumptions. Claire's laptop was in her office nook, rarely used since she preferred her tablet. I hesitated, then powered it on. The password was our anniversary, unchanged. Her email was open, and I scanned her inbox. Most were work-related, but one thread caught my eye, from Ethan. The subject, "Our secret." My heart pounded as I opened it. "Can't stop thinking about you," he wrote. "Portland will be ours." Her reply, I'm counting the days. The emails spanned months, detailing meetups, shared moments, a connection she'd hidden from me. I printed the emails, my hands shaking. Each word was a betrayal, not just of our vows but of the life we'd built. I thought of our kids, Mia and Lucas, oblivious to the fracture in their world. I wanted to scream, to confront her, but something darker stirred. A need for her to feel the weight of her choices. I hid the emails and the Polaroid in my desk, locking them away. Revenge wasn't my nature, but the seed was planted. Claire would return home soon, and I'd play the devoted husband. For now. Claire came home that evening, her smile as radiant as ever. She kissed me, chattered about a new project, and helped Mia with homework while I cooked dinner. Watching her, I felt a surreal disconnect. This was my wife, the woman I'd loved since college. Yet she was a stranger hiding a double life. The emails, the Polaroid, they pulsed in my mind, but I kept my face neutral. I needed time to plan, to understand how deep this betrayal ran. Over dinner, I tested her. "How's Ethan's project going?" I asked casually, slicing chicken. Her fork paused just for a second. "Oh, fine," she said, her tone light. "He's intense, but talented." She changed the subject to Lucas's soccer game, and I let it slide. Her ease at lying was chilling. After the kids were in bed, she curled up next to me on the couch, her head on my shoulder. I wanted to push her away, but I played along, stroking her hair. Every touch felt like a lie. The next day, I dug deeper. I called a friend, Mark, a private investigator I'd met through a work contact. I felt ridiculous hiring him, but I needed facts. Over coffee, I showed him the Polaroid and emails. Mark's face was grim. "I'll tail her," he said. "If there's more, I'll find it." I gave him Ethan's details and Claire's schedule. The cost stung, but clarity was worth it. I couldn't confront her with half-truths. Mark worked fast. 2 days later, he sent photos. Claire and Ethan at a cafe, their hands touching across the table. Another showed them entering a hotel, her arm looped through his. The timestamp was yesterday, when she'd claimed to be at a client pitch. My vision blurred with rage, but I thanked Mark and asked him to keep digging. I needed everything, every meeting, every lie. The evidence was piling up, a tower of her deceit. That night, Claire sensed something. "You okay, Dan?" she asked, brushing my arm. I nodded, forcing a smile. "Just work stress." She didn't press, but her eyes lingered, searching. I wondered if she suspected I knew. Part of me wanted her to confess, to end this charade, but she didn't. Instead, she planned another work trip for the following weekend. "Ethan's shooting in Vancouver," she said. "I'm designing the promo." I nodded, my mind already spinning. This trip would be my chance, not to confront her, but to set the stage for something bigger. Revenge was forming, not as violence, but as a calculated unraveling of her world. I'd let her think she was winning, for now. Claire's announcement about Vancouver fueled my resolve. She was slipping deeper into her secret life, oblivious to the web I was weaving. I spent the week playing the perfect husband, breakfast with the kids, flowers for Claire, even a date night at her favorite Italian place. She seemed relieved, her guard lowering. "You're amazing," she said, squeezing my hand across the table. I smiled, but inside, I was cataloging her lies, each one a brick in the foundation of my plan. Mark's updates were relentless. He tracked Claire and Ethan to more meetups, lunches, a park, another hotel. He even got audio from a bug he'd planted in Ethan's car. Their conversations were intimate, laced with plans for a future that didn't include me. "Once my next project wraps," Ethan said, "we can figure out us." Claire's reply was soft. "I want that." Hearing her voice, so tender for him, was worse than any photo. I saved everything, building a dossier of their betrayal. Revenge crystallized in my mind. Not an outburst, but a slow, deliberate exposure. I wanted Claire to lose what she valued most. Her reputation, her career, her social world. Ethan, too, would pay. He wasn't just a fling. He was her accomplice in dismantling our family. I researched his life. Ethan was married, too, to a woman named Lila, a quiet librarian. His social media hid her well, but Mark found her. Lila deserved to know, and she'd be my first ally. I contacted Lila through a burner email, posing as a concerned friend. I sent her a single photo, Claire and Ethan at the cafe, hands entwined, along with a note. I'm sorry, but you need to see this. I didn't reveal my identity, but I included enough details to make it credible. Lila responded within hours, her message raw. Who are you? Is this real? I promised more evidence, asking her to meet me in a public park. She agreed, her desperation mirroring mine. The meeting was tense. Lila, pale and trembling, clutched the photo. I thought he was working late, she whispered. I showed her the emails, the hotel receipts, sparing her nothing. Tears streaked her face, but anger flared, too. They're planning something, she said, voice hard. He's been distant, talking about a big move. We agreed to work together, not just to confront them, but to ruin them. Lila's access to Ethan's finances and my evidence gave us power. We'd expose them at their peak, when they thought they were untouchable. As Claire packed for Vancouver, I kissed her goodbye, my heart cold. She had no idea the storm was coming. Claire left for Vancouver on Friday, her suitcase light, her smile practiced. I'll call you tomorrow, she said, hugging me. I nodded, my face a mask. The kids were at my parents' again, giving me space to execute the next phase. Mark was already in Vancouver, tailing her. He'd confirmed Ethan's presence at a boutique hotel, not a shoot location. Claire's work trip was a lie, and I was ready to use it. Lila and I met again, this time at a diner. She'd accessed Ethan's bank statements, revealing payments for hotel stays and dinners that aligned with Claire's absences. He's using our savings, she said, her voice shaking. I showed her Mark's latest photos, Claire and Ethan entering the Vancouver hotel, her hand in his. Lila's jaw tightened. We end this, she said. Our plan was simple but brutal. Public humiliation. Ethan's next gallery opening was in 2 weeks, a high-profile event Claire was designing. We'd expose them there in front of their peers, clients, and friends. I spent the weekend digging into Claire's professional life. Her design firm was small but prestigious, her reputation built on creativity and trust. I found her client list, including contacts who'd be at the gallery event. Using an anonymous email, I drafted a message with attachments, the Polaroid, the emails, a timeline of her and Ethan's meetups. I didn't send it yet. Timing was everything. Lila was doing the same, targeting Ethan's photography network. We'd flood their worlds with truth, leaving no room for denials. Mark's updates from Vancouver were a gut punch. He sent a video, grainy but clear. Claire and Ethan on a hotel balcony, laughing, her arms around him. The intimacy was undeniable, a mockery of our vows. I watched it repeatedly, not to torture myself but to fuel my resolve. Claire texted me Saturday night. Miss you, crazy busy. I replied with a heart emoji, my fingers trembling. She was playing me, but I was playing her, too. Sunday, Lila called. She'd found Ethan's draft email to a realtor, inquiring about a Vancouver apartment. They're planning to leave us, she said, voice hollow. The betrayal deepened. Claire wasn't just straying. She was building a new life. I added the email to our arsenal. When Claire returned, glowing from her successful trip, I greeted her warmly, hiding the storm inside. The gallery event was close, and our trap was set. She'd walk into it blind, her lies exposed under the spotlight she'd helped create. For now, I let her believe she was safe, my revenge a silent promise. Claire's return from Vancouver marked a shift in our home. She was brighter, more attentive, as if overcompensating. She cooked me his favorite pancakes, planned Lucas's birthday, and even suggested a weekend getaway for us. Just you and me, she said, her eyes soft. I agreed, my voice steady, but inside, I seethed. Her affection felt like a performance, a way to keep me placated while she dreamed of Ethan. The gallery opening was 10 days away, and I was ready to let her world unravel. Lila and I met daily, refining our plan. She'd accessed Ethan's cloud drive, uncovering more photos, Claire and him in intimate moments, some dated months back. One image showed them at a cabin, Claire's head on his chest, a place she'd never mentioned. Lila's hands shook as she showed me. "This was our cabin," she whispered. "Our anniversary spot." The betrayal cut deeper for her, but it sharpened our resolve. We decided to create a digital slideshow for the gallery event, embedding the evidence in Claire's design presentation. It would play automatically, exposing them to everyone. I kept up appearances at home. Claire noticed my quietness but blamed work stress. "You're working too hard," she said, rubbing my shoulders. I nodded, letting her touch me, though it felt like a violation. Meanwhile, Mark sent a final report. Claire and Ethan had met twice more, once at a bar, once at his studio. Their recklessness was our advantage. They thought they were invisible. I added Mark's photos to the slideshow, each one a nail in their coffin. I also contacted Claire's firm's biggest client, a museum director named Helen, anonymously. I sent a vague email hinting at unprofessional conduct by a designer, attaching a single photo of Claire and Ethan. Helen replied, requesting more details. I promised evidence at the gallery event, planting seeds of doubt. Claire's career hinged on trust. I'd make sure it crumbled. Lila did the same with Ethan's main sponsor, a gallery owner. Our plan wasn't just personal, it was professional annihilation. As the event neared, Claire grew busier finalizing designs. She showed me her presentation proudly, unaware I'd hacked her laptop to embed our slideshow. "It's my best work," she said. I smiled, imagining her face when it played. The kids sensed tension, asking why I was sad. I hugged them, promising everything would be okay. They didn't know their mother's lies, but soon, the world would. I was ready to watch Claire and Ethan burn, their betrayal laid bare. The gallery opening was a week away, and the weight of my plan settled over me. I moved through our home like a ghost, cooking for the kids, nodding at Claire's stories, all while finalizing the details with Lila. She'd become my mirror. Her pain matched mine, her anger fueling our shared mission. We met at a park, away from prying eyes, and reviewed the slideshow. It was devastating. Photos, emails, even a clip of their balcony moment in Vancouver, set to loop during Claire's presentation. We'd rigged it to override her controls, ensuring it played. Lila had news. Ethan's sponsor was already asking questions, spooked by her anonymous tip. "He's nervous," she said, her eyes glinting. "He's losing gigs." I nodded, satisfied. Claire, too, seemed rattled. She mentioned a weird call from Helen, the museum director, about her conduct. "It's nothing," she said, but her voice wavered. I feigned concern, asking if she was okay. She brushed it off, but I saw the cracks. Her perfect facade was slipping. I took a risk and checked Claire's phone while she showered. Her messages with Ethan were cautious now, as if they sensed danger. "We need to be careful," she wrote. His reply, "No one knows. We're fine." I smirked, screenshotting it. Their arrogance was my weapon. I sent the screenshot to Lila, who added it to the slideshow. We also printed flyers with key images and quotes, planning to distribute them at the event. The gallery would be packed, clients, colleagues, friends. Their humiliation would be total. At home, Claire's stress was palpable. She snapped at Mia over a spilled drink, then apologized, hugging her tightly. I watched, torn between pity and rage. Part of me wanted to confront her, to demand why she'd thrown us away. But confrontation was too easy. I wanted her to feel the betrayal's weight, to lose everything she'd built on lies. The kids deserved better than a mother who'd planned a secret life. I tucked them in each night, promising silently to protect them. Lila and I set a final meeting for the day before the event. We'd coordinate with a tech friend to ensure the slideshow worked flawlessly. I also prepared a personal touch, a letter to Claire to be handed to her after the exposure. It would detail every lie, every moment she'd chosen Ethan over us. I wrote it late at night, my pen shaking, pouring 12 years of love and pain into words. She'd read it as her world collapsed, knowing I'd seen everything. The countdown was on, and I was ready to end this chapter. The day before the gallery opening, Claire was a whirlwind, finalizing details and packing her portfolio. She kissed me goodbye, saying she'd be late at the venue. "Wish me luck," she said, her smile tight. I wished her well, my voice calm, but my heart raced. This was it, the final hours before her betrayal became public. I dropped the kids at my parents', explaining I'd be busy with work. They didn't need to see what was coming. Lila and I met at a coffee shop, our tech friend, Sam, in tow. Sam had hacked Claire's presentation software, embedding our slideshow as a hidden file. "It'll trigger midway," he said, showing us the code. The screen would flash with Claire and Ethan's photos, emails, and messages, looping until someone cut the power. We tested it on a laptop, and the effect was gut-wrenching. Even Lila, hardened by weeks of planning, teared up. "They deserve this," she said, and I agreed. We finalized the flyers, hundreds of them, printed with damning images and quotes like, "Our secret," from Ethan's email. Lila's cousin, a waiter at the event, would distribute them discreetly, slipping them onto tables and into bags. We also sent anonymous emails to key attendees, Claire's clients, Ethan's sponsors, even local art bloggers, hinting at a shocking reveal at the gallery. The buzz would draw a crowd, amplifying the fallout. Our plan was a machine, every part synchronized for maximum impact. Back home, I packed a bag for myself and the kids, preparing for the aftermath. Claire would likely leave after the exposure, and I needed to protect Mia and Lucas from the chaos. I called a lawyer friend, quietly starting divorce proceedings. The betrayal had killed our marriage. This was just the burial. I also wrote a second letter, this one for Ethan, detailing how his lies had destroyed 2 families. Lila would deliver it to him post-event, a final twist of the knife. That night, alone, I sat with the Polaroid that started it all. Claire and Ethan on the beach, laughing. I burned it in the fireplace, the flames consuming their false joy. My revenge wasn't about pain, it was about truth. Claire and Ethan had built a fantasy on our suffering. Tomorrow, they'd face reality. I slept fitfully, dreaming of Claire's face as the slideshow played, her world crumbling under the weight of her choices. The morning of the event dawned, and I was ready. Not for closure, but for justice. The gallery opening was at 7 p.m., a sleek downtown space buzzing with Seattle's art elite. I arrived early, blending into the crowd in a dark suit, my face unreadable. Claire was already there, radiant in a black dress, greeting clients with Ethan at her side. They moved as a unit, their smiles practiced, their touches subtle but telling. I stayed in the shadows, watching, my pulse steady. Lila was nearby, posing as a guest, her eyes locked on Ethan. The venue was packed, museum directors, photographers, bloggers, all drawn by the event's hype and our anonymous tips. Claire's presentation was the centerpiece, set to start at 8:30. She tested the projector, unaware of the bomb we'd planted. Lila's cousin circulated, slipping flyers into purses and under napkins. I caught his eye, nodding. Everything was in place. The air felt electric, charged with the secret only Lila, Sam, and I knew. At 8:15, Claire took the stage, her voice confident as she introduced her designs for Ethan's exhibit. The crowd applauded, cameras flashing. Ethan stood nearby, beaming, his hand brushing her arm. I clenched my fists, but stayed calm. The slideshow began, her work, vibrant and professional, earning murmurs of approval. Then, at 8:32, the screen flickered. A photo appeared. Claire and Ethan at the cafe, hands entwined. Gasps rippled through the room. The slideshow continued, relentless. Emails flashed. Ethan's, "Can't stop thinking about you." Claire's, "I'm counting the days." Photos followed, the hotel, the balcony, the cabin. The audio clip played, their voices confessing plans for a new life. The crowd was silent, then erupted in whispers. Claire froze, her face pale, scrambling to stop the projector. Ethan rushed to her, his panic visible. Sam had locked the system. There was no escape. Flyers hit the tables, guests snatching them up. Helen, the museum director, stood, her expression thunderous. Ethan's sponsor stormed out, clutching a flyer. Bloggers typed furiously, live tweeting the scandal. Claire's eyes found mine across the room, wide with horror. I held her gaze, unyielding, then turned to leave. Lila handed me the letters for Claire and Ethan, her face grim but satisfied. It's done, she said. I nodded, stepping into the night, the chaos of their exposure echoing behind me. The revenge was complete, but the cost was just beginning. I drove home in silence, the city lights blurring past. The gallery scene replayed in my mind. Claire's shock, Ethan's desperation, the crowd's judgment. My phone buzzed with texts from mutual friends, already hearing rumors. I ignored them. Lila called, her voice steady. It worked, she said. They're ruined. She delivered Ethan's letter, watching him read it as his career imploded. I'd given Claire's letter to a waiter to hand her, knowing she'd find it amid the wreckage. At home, I checked social media. The art blogs were brutal, posting screenshots from the slideshow with headlines like, "Photographer and designer caught in scandal." Claire's firm had issued a statement, distancing itself. Ethan's sponsor dropped him publicly. Their professional lives were ashes, just as we'd planned. Lila texted a link to a post by Helen, condemning Claire's unethical behavior. The museum contract was gone. I felt no joy, only a hollow satisfaction. Claire didn't come home that night. I expected it. She texted once, "Dan, I'm sorry. Can we talk?" I didn't reply. The kids were still at my parents', safe from the storm. I packed more of their things, preparing for a new life. The house felt empty, a shell of our past. I found one of Claire's sketches, a portrait of me from years ago, my smile hopeful. I tore it in half, the sound louder than it should have been. Lila and I met the next morning. She looked drained but resolute. "Ethan's moving out," she said. "He begged forgiveness, but I'm done." I nodded, understanding. We'd won, but victory was bitter. Our spouse's betrayal had cost us our trust, our futures. I told Lila about the divorce papers I'd started. She hugged me, a rare moment of warmth. "We did this for our kids," she said. I agreed, though Mia and Lucas's faces haunted me. How would I explain this? By afternoon, Claire called, sobbing. "Dan, please, I messed up. I love you." Her voice cracked, but I felt nothing. "You chose him," I said, my tone cold. "Read the letter." I hung up, knowing the letter detailed every lie, every moment she'd broken us. She'd feel the weight of her choices, just as I had. The revenge was cruel, not in violence but in truth, exposing her to the world she'd betrayed me for. The next steps were mine to take, for me and the kids, away from her shadow. The days after the gallery opening were a blur. Claire didn't return home, and I didn't expect her to. Her absence left a void, not of love but of routine. Mia and Lucas asked where she was, their eyes searching mine. I lied, saying she was on a work trip, hating myself for it. The truth would come, but not yet. They deserved a few more days of innocence. I moved us to my parents' house, the kids' laughter a faint echo in rooms that felt too big. Social media was a firestorm. Art blogs dissected Claire and Ethan's scandal, their names trending locally. Claire's firm fired her, citing breach of ethics. Ethan's gallery dropped his exhibit, and his sponsors vanished. Lila sent me screenshots of Ethan's desperate posts, begging for forgiveness from his network. Fell flat, his reputation was dust. Our revenge had worked too well, but the cost was heavy. I saw Claire's face in every quiet moment, her shock at the gallery haunting me. I met Lila at a diner to debrief. She looked older, her eyes shadowed. "Ethan's gone," she said. "Moved to his brother's in Portland." She'd filed for divorce, her resolve unshaken. I shared my own plans. Divorce papers were ready, custody arrangements drafted. We toasted with coffee, a grim celebration. "We did what we had to," Lila said. I nodded, but doubt crept in. Had I gone too far? The slideshow, the flyers, they'd destroyed lives. Yet Claire's betrayal had destroyed mine first. Claire's letter sat unopened in my desk. I'd written it to wound her, detailing every lie, but now it felt like a relic of my rage. I read it again, my words cold and precise, then burned it. She'd gotten the message at the gallery. Friends called, offering support or probing for gossip. I shut them out, focusing on the kids. Mia drew a picture of our family, Claire included, and I nearly broke. How do you explain betrayal to a child? I checked Claire's social media, now private, but mutual friends whispered she was staying with a cousin. Spiraling. Part of me wanted to reach out to see if she'd changed. But the Polaroid, the emails, her plans with Ethan, they were anchors in my memory. She'd chosen him, and I'd chosen justice. The kids needed me whole, not chasing a ghost. I booked a therapist for us, knowing the road ahead would be brutal. A week later, Claire appeared at my parents' house. I was in the yard with the kids when her car pulled up. She looked gaunt, her auburn hair dull, her eyes red. "Dan, please," she said, voice breaking. The kids ran to her and I let them hug her, my chest tight. I sent them inside with my mom, then faced her. "What do you want?" I asked, my tone flat. She clutched a scarf, trembling. "To explain. To fix this." We sat on the porch, the air heavy. She admitted everything. How Ethan's charm drew her in. How their work became an escape. "I felt alive," she said, tears falling. "But I never meant to hurt you." I laughed, bitter. "You planned a life with him, Claire. You lied for months." She flinched but didn't deny it. The emails, the cabin, Vancouver. She confessed it all, her voice raw. "I ended it," she said. "After the gallery, I told him we're done." I handed her the divorce papers, printed that morning. Her eyes widened. "Dan, no. We can try again. For the kids." I shook my head. "You broke us. The kids deserve better than a mother who'd leave." She sobbed, begging, but I was stone. I told her about the slideshow, Lila's role, how we'd planned her ruin. Her face crumpled, realizing the depth of my retaliation. "You destroyed me," she whispered. "You betrayed me first," I said. She asked to see the kids. I allowed it, supervised. Mia clung to her, Lucas quieter, sensing the fracture. Claire promised to visit soon, but I set boundaries, scheduled visits, no surprises. She left, her car disappearing down the street. I felt no relief, only exhaustion. The revenge had been surgical, but it hadn't healed me. The kids' questions, "Why's mommy sad?" cut deeper than Claire's lies. I held them close, vowing to be enough. That night I emailed Lila, updating her. She was moving forward, selling her house, starting fresh. "You okay?" she asked. I wasn't stunned, I typed, then deleted it. I wasn't okay, but I'd survive, for Mia and Lucas. Claire's betrayal had shattered us, but I'd rebuild, piece by piece. 6 months passed, and life settled into a fragile rhythm. The kids and I moved into a smaller house, a fresh start. Mia's drawings now showed just the three of us, a quiet acceptance. Lucas joined soccer, his smile returning. I worked from home, balancing deadlines and school pickups. Therapy helped, though the kids' sessions were tougher. Mia blamed herself, Lucas hid his anger. I listened, held them, and promised we'd be okay. Some days I believed it. Claire visited every other weekend, supervised by my mom. She was attending therapy, working a low-level design job, rebuilding. She looked healthier, but the distance between us was permanent. The kids loved her, but trust was gone. I kept things civil, focusing on their happiness. Claire apologized often, but I didn't engage. Her remorse couldn't undo the Polaroid, the emails, the life she'd planned without us. Lila and I stayed in touch, our bond forged in shared pain. She'd started dating, a tentative step. "You should try," she said over coffee. I shrugged, not ready. My heart was a bruise, healing slowly. Ethan had vanished, rumored to be in Canada, his career dead. I felt no pity. He'd reaped what he sowed, as had Claire. The gallery scandal faded from headlines, but its shadow lingered in our circles. I found a new hobby, woodworking, something tangible. Building a bookshelf for Mia felt like reclaiming control. The kids helped, laughing as sawdust flew. These moments were my anchor, proof we could move forward. Friends invited me out, but I stayed home, prioritizing stability. The divorce finalized quietly, Claire agreeing to my terms. Shared custody, fair assets. It was closure, not triumph. One night, Lucas asked if I hated Mommy. I paused, choosing truth. I was angry, I said, but I love you both too much to hate. He nodded, hugging me. Mia joined, and we sat there, a fractured but fierce family. The revenge had been cruel, stripping Claire's world bare, but it hadn't rebuilt mine. That was my work now, one day at a time. A year after the gallery, I stood in our new backyard, watching Mia and Lucas chase fireflies. The house was modest, but ours, filled with their laughter. I'd finished a dining table, my hands calloused but proud. Life wasn't perfect, but it was honest. Claire's visits were smoother, her focus on the kids genuine. She'd apologized again, this time without begging. I'll always regret it, she said. I nodded, feeling nothing. Forgiveness wasn't mine to give. I reflected on the revenge often. The slideshow, the flyers, the calculated ruin, it had been precise, devastating. Lila and I had wielded truth like a blade, exposing Claire and Ethan's lies. But late at night, I wondered if I'd lost something, too. The man who'd loved Claire fiercely, who'd trusted blindly, was he gone? The gallery hadn't just humiliated them. It had hardened me. I didn't regret it, but I mourned the softer parts of myself. Lila visited, bringing her new partner, a kind teacher named Sarah. They glowed, and I was happy for her. You did right by your kids, Lila said, squeezing my hand. I smiled, hoping so. My therapist pushed me to date, but I focused on healing. Mia's nightmares had stopped. Lucas opened up more. Their resilience humbled me. I'd torn Claire's world apart to protect them, and they were thriving. That was enough. I stumbled across an old photo. Not the Polaroid, but one from our wedding. Claire's smile was radiant, mine hopeful. I kept it not for her but for the kids. They'd ask about our past, and I'd tell them truth tempered with care. Claire's betrayal had been unusual. Not a fling, but a secret life, a planned escape. My revenge matched it, public, merciless, shattering her facade. Neither of us emerged whole. I started teaching woodworking classes, finding purpose in community. The student, Emma, lingered after class, her humor sharp. I didn't pursue it, but her smile stirred something. Maybe one day. For now, I was dad, steady and present. The kids were my compass, guiding me through the wreckage Claire left. 2 years later, I stood at Mia's school play, Lucas beside me, both beaming as she took her bow. Our life was solid, imperfect, but ours. The new house felt like home, with shelves I'd built and art the kids made. Claire was a steady presence, her visits warm but boundaried. She'd started a small design business, earning respect again. I didn't care, but the kids did, so I stayed neutral. Her betrayal was a scar, not a wound. I dated Emma briefly, her kindness a balm. It didn't last, but it proved I could try. Lila, now engaged to Sarah, cheered me on, our friendship a quiet strength. The gallery scandal was old news, a cautionary tale in art circles. Ethan was a ghost, irrelevant. My revenge had been cruel, stripping Claire and Ethan of their worlds, but it had freed me to rebuild. I'd exposed their secret life, a betrayal deeper than an affair, a calculated exit, and ensured they faced consequences. Mia asked about the divorce recently. I told her mom and I grew apart, that we both loved her. Lucas listened, wiser now, and hugged me. They were my why, the reason I'd orchestrated the gallery's chaos. The slideshow, the flyers, Lila's fury, they'd been tools to protect my family. The cost was high, but I'd paid it. I took the kids camping last summer, teaching them to build a fire. We laughed, free from Claire's shadow. I was woodworking full-time, my classes thriving. A new student, Rachel, shared my humor, and I asked her for coffee. She said yes. It wasn't love, but it was possibility. The betrayal, the revenge, they'd shaped me, but they didn't define me. I was Daniel, dad, builder, survivor. The kids ran ahead, calling my name, and I followed, ready for whatever came next.